The appearance of the Me-262 in the skies drew intense attention from military aircraft designers. The first mass-produced jet fighter proved unmistakably that the piston era was ending. Still, the Germans did not catch the Allies completely off guard. Britain and the United States were already working on their own jets. The Soviet Union tried to join the race as well, but found itself trailing. Domestic turbojets were not ready, and Soviet fighter projects existed largely on paper. Air Force leadership fully grasped the depth of the technological gap. At one point, they even discussed putting a localized Me-262 into series production. That never went beyond talk, but the German machine nonetheless left a deep imprint on post-war Soviet aircraft development, most clearly in the experimental fighter line pursued by Pavel Sukhoi's design bureau. Work on the Su-9 prototype began as early as 1944. Initially, it was to use Soviet engines, but development dragged on. As a result, the preliminary design was presented only in 1945, after engineers had closely studied captured Messerschmitts. Like their German counterparts, Sukhoi's team chose a mid-wing layout with two engines in nacelles, a nose armament bay, and a single-fin tail. Similar arrangements were used abroad as well, for instance on Britain's Meteor. But in the Su-9's lines, the influence of the German school was unmistakable. The Soviet aircraft had a less swept trapezoidal wing, which was still acceptable at speeds around 800 kilometers per hour. Testing began in 1946 and immediately exposed a host of problems typical of experimental aircraft. The fighter proved insufficiently stable, and its performance fell short of what the military had hoped for. Engineers rushed into refinements. Some changes addressed aerodynamics and systems layout, others were far more fundamental. One revised prototype received a new designation, the Su-11. It was fitted with more powerful and more economical engines, allowing speeds above 900 kilometers per hour, an impressive figure for the time. Another experimental variant defining feature was a radar set. The nose section was redesigned to accommodate the Tory radar. In the final iterations, Sukhoi's engineers planned to return to a swept-wing concept, but events took an unfavorable turn for the program. The Air Force needed a jet fighter immediately, and at Mikoyan Gurevich, the MiG-15 prototypes were already well into flight testing. Command tried to find a niche for the Su-11, first as a frontline fighter, then as a fighter-bomber. But by the time the aircraft was truly ready, the MiG-15 had already entered production. It was more modern, faster, and had a greater growth potential. In an era when aviation advanced by leaps and bounds, pretty good simply wasn't enough.